Welcome to the allotments on this evening. We seem to be on our own, probably because the rain scared everyone off, but instead we've been welcomed by a beautiful rainbow behind me. Just come to prop up our sweet corn that have been knocked over in the high winds in the first set of rain we've had in 6 weeks, really proper. Always worth coming down to dream about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. This time I think it's over the river, in a very pretty village. Oh well. Oh! You hear that rain now? That is such a heavenly sound. A beautiful arcing rainbow down here on the allotments, over the sheds. The birds are loving it. Might be able to find some worms finally. Tense colours. Might actually even be a triple rainbow. What do you think? My better half says there's just the two, but anyway, look at that. The fairies have left a pot of gold at the end there as well. It's quite a journey to go to that. I think that's in the middle of the sewage works actually, so somewhere right in the middle of the sewage works is a pot of... Sorry about that. Now there's a treat I've just seen from the allotments. One end of the rainbow where there must be a pot of gold where the fairies have left one, I believe is smack bang in the middle of the sewage works. So instead of a pot of gold, you've got a crock of... Well, you finished the sentence. But never mind, still a treat for someone, isn't it? Especially if you're a gardener. Maybe that's their equivalent of a pot of gold around these parts. Certainly more useful to a gardener, isn't it? A pot of... It's quite late evening, beginning of the week. Come down really just to collect some Bramleys because there's been quite a lot of wind. And reading that with this very hot summer we've got early ripening of fruit. Bramleys can be ready in August anyway, it's mid-August. And also to do some brutting. Thanks to Woody for showing us on his channel, so I've been doing some Kentish cob. But I'll also show you with hazelnuts. Under my torchlight here we have a good example of a hazelnut. This is the cultivated variety, this one's called a Kentish cob. And it would be ripe now if there was a crop on it, and there wasn't this year, and it's due for its brutting. And basically it's these side branches. You can see there's a main branch there going up. Okay, I'm going to be removing later on, that is over very late autumn, a third of the branches from this to open it up to the light. But these little side branches here where the female flowers are going to form, very weak ones can be left, but other ones can be bent over. So about halfway along this season's growth I can bend it over like that, and I can go along and do that to hundreds and hundreds of these little side branches. I'll leave the very weak ones, and that's a very weak one, you see, but any other side branches they want bending over, that's called brutting, and the idea is it opens it up to the light and it's supposed to encourage more female flowers. And when you prune these in winter, apparently they can have catkins on them, and that's quite good because it starts to help with propagation, etc., spreading the pollen, etc. These sweet corn you can see along this line here are early bird. Last year we grew F1 Incredibles. I think these ones are better tasting. They're less sweet, but to me they're more. The taste is much more tasty, so I've enjoyed the taste much more. So that's your early birds. This plant here is a Seville, and these ones are supposed to be more cold tolerant. All of my sweet corn's been a bit more stunted than last year, but I've enjoyed the taste very much more. So they've been more tasty, but the growth less. And I've been giving them tomato feed. They had comfrey early on, and now I'm giving them tomato feed. They're still developing though, but it's got a bit cooler now. It's 10 degrees cooler than it was, so a little bit better now in mid-August in the UK and Midlands. And tonight, just got some early bird sweet corn. As you can see, they're decent size, and they'll be ready. So really, sort of mid-August, that's the job.
So tonight, been down to get the Bramleys and doing the twist test. They are definitely ready, and separate them into different bags. Ones off the tree that are okay, like these ones, and other ones, separate them out, which were windfalls, which can be eaten first. The windfalls obviously may well have bruises on, etc. Bad bits to be cut out, they'll be eaten first. To show you, this is the Bramleys on my other plot here, a bit more sheltered, and these ones are not ready yet, okay? Probably because they didn't get as much sun in that harsh summer we had. Quite a cruel level of ultraviolet, really was relentless for those of us gardening in this extreme heat. Basically, some of my really tiny dwarf trees, some of my dwarf specimen trees, I actually put nets on them, on some of the plum trees, some of the new ones, which aren't going to crop till 2 or 3 years, because the leaves were being burnt in the sun. That's how bad it was. But this Bramley, I probably might take another three weeks or so before it's ready. But the others, all picked, all done. They were coming down in the wind anyway. The twist test, you know, if you twist them slightly and they come off, they were actually just about jumping off the tree. But this isn't ready yet. This rhubarb on the plot is not very old. It's only been here 2 to 3 years. It was about a year old when planted, and I'm only picking a few stalks out. But to me, it's not gone super stringy like some of my other rhubarb had at this time of year. So even in August, I'm getting a few stalks. I'm only picking what I can eat. Here we've got a Johnson's mini pop, and going along the line of these mini pops, you can see from the silks you're supposed to pick them just before it goes really sort of, you know, burnished red, when they'll be at their best. But you can see that Johnson's is starting to catch up with Unwins on the other side. One or two people have been asking about the correct time to pick mini pops variety. The ideal time is before these silks at the top are turning red, so that hasn't completely turned red, okay? And then your mini pop will look like so inside, with quite a lot of stringy stuff on the outside. Here's one here where it's gone really red, and it's probably gone a bit over, okay, and that's been picked tonight. So there's the comparison of two. On the right, the ideal picking time, and on the left, it's been left, okay. So with these, don't wait until it's entirely gone red. It should just be on the turn, a bit of red, when you pick your mini pops. Two varieties I've got here. We've got Unwins and Johnson's, okay. And early indications from my plot was that Unwins seems to be more heavily cropping. The very last thing I've had tonight from the plot has been some proper garden mint. Always nice with your tea, isn't it? And add to a flavouring. Goes nicely with ice cream as well. So got some proper garden mint, and that grew despite being strangled by vines and stuff like that. Oh, we have terrible bindweed on our plots, but one of the joys of being a gardener. Oh, did you hear that mozzie?
Thought I'd capture some of the clouds there. Some of these have been bringing up rain, and the wind swung round. Now coming from southwest. That's it for tonight then. Got my little haul and done some brutting on the hazelnuts, and thank you very much to Woody for showing us that technique. So I've applied that tonight, and so I have to hope that the sweet corn and the apples and the little bit of rhubarb is going to be nice tonight. Less beans than I thought this year. Even dwarf beans are down, and stringy is very much so, but I think that's down to the extreme heat, even though I have sprayed the flowers with water mister. This is an example of an early bird sweet corn, and to scale, there's my hand, okay? So I'm nowhere near, I'm only reaching up about sort of maybe only 2/3 on the sweet corn. So I would say we've had less than last year. The F1 Incredibles were more sweet than these ones, but I like these ones better. They've been better flavour early bird. So I recommend that if you want to try one. Just to show you the variation, I picked these today in mid-August, and basically on the right you've got sweet corn Seville,
okay. This one's supposed to be quite cold tolerant, so I picked it to grow in the Midlands. Needn't to bother about being cold tolerant because we've had the hottest summer since '76. It's a paler variety, seems slimmer than the other one, and this one on the left is early bird sweet corn, and you can see the corns seem to be larger. The taste test, obviously, I'll let you know what that's like, but that's how different varieties look. Early indications are that this one on the left, the early bird, seems to be more heavily cropping. This one seems to be, although cold tolerant, didn't seem to be less disease resistant, but I have been feeding them with lots of tomato feed.